My autobiography, The Journey of Two Angels, contains some God and angels talk. The genesis of Angels in My Life book, website, and YouTube channel started with losing a friend at a young age. Listen to the song by Alabama, Angels Among Us, for a better definition of the type of angels. I tear up every time I tell the story. When I wrote it in 2022, when I was creating notes for this video, as well as when I was narrating the video. I cannot get through talking about Scott without getting emotional. Scott was an angel for many reasons. He was truly happy, content, and brought a light around everyone he met. His life only lasted 19 years. I feel he was one of God's angels, here for a short time, but left a lasting mark. I encourage anyone who thinks someone is or was an angel, and like my friend Scott, please use Microsoft Word, write a few pages about them, use the context of sitting around talking to friends by a fire, drinking hot chocolate during the winter. You're thinking about someone who's gone, and you want to tell us about him. Just give 3 or 4 pages of talking about who you think is an angel. Now, after hearing about my friend Scott, send it to email jason@journeyoftwoangels.com. I really feel a great many angels like Scott touch our lives. Everyone knows the type. There is no other explanation for them than he or she was an angel. Brian Scott Perry went by Scott. Scott was definitely an angel, which changed the direction of my life. The first day of my 11th grade year, first day attending Plano Senior High School. The second class of the day was history, American or world history. I don't remember which one. Being allowed to leave classes 5 minutes early, something schools do when you're on crutches. Over the summer, Scottish Rite in Dallas had just performed the first of my 2 knee operations I had done in high school. I had a second one done senior year. Being the first student in the classroom, I found a seat in the middle of the room. A minute later, Scott walked in and sat immediately in front of me, being the only 2 students in a classroom with 30 desks. When Scott walked up next to me and started to put his bag down, Scott had a hunch on his back from a birth defect. As he was putting his books down, his right hand caught my eye. It was deformed and curled back towards his chest with surgery scars. Waiting until he sat down and got comfortable before tapping on his shoulder, Scott shifted around to turn to talk. He noticed I was pointing down at his hand. In a flash, his face began to turn to frustration. Obviously, he gets people looking at him, asking questions all too often. He started to open his mouth to explain. I don't know because I cut him off in other words. Scott is right. His expression changed instantly to a smile with a glow in his face, surprised someone knew his doctor. Then I pointed down, drawing attention to my left knee. It was in a full soft cast. I repeated my comment. Scott is right. The Scottish Rite Hospital for Crippled Children in Dallas specializes in children and bone issues. The first knee operation that sawed my left femur in half just above the knee, a second wedge was cut off to even the bone straight, and they put a titanium metal plate to hold it together. I had seen a couple of surgery scars on his hand. I recognized whose handiwork it was, like a signature. We became instant best friends for life. Turns out that only lasted 2 years. Scott already had a best friend named Jason. There were 2 Jasons. We became the 3 Musketeers, 3 best friends through 11th and 12th grade. Every morning, we all 3 met at 7 a.m. in the school parking lot until Jason S. went into 0-hour class at 7:30. Scott and I always went into the cafeteria. We had about an hour, got something to eat. We would sit and talk and finish up our homework. Every single morning through junior and senior years, we never once talked about what was wrong with him, nor did I care to ask. We just enjoyed talking about girls, cars, high school football, typical boys talking. I cannot, nor ever have I been able to remember one single conversation we had, besides the one we had the day we met. Jason S. and Scott were best friends and hung out after school without me very often. Sometimes I did tag along. My after-school afternoons were strictly monitored. According to tutors, SAT prep class was psychologist, group therapies, and working. Usually being a lone wolf, I chose to do activities I enjoyed and did them mostly alone. Most of Scott and my friends were sitting in the cafeteria talking every single morning for 2 years. What I do remember is more of the essence of his soul, how genuinely happy he was. Despite having these birth defects, always being stared at because of his physical appearance, he was the happiest kid I ever met. And when he passed away, that really got me. He was so happy and such a good person. Every day he woke up, blessed he woke up. His parents bought him a brand new navy blue Camaro Z28 for his senior year. He so loved it and was so proud of it. During this time, our high school football team, the 86-87 Plano Wildcats, won back-to-back state championships. I was often being mistaken for an injured player because I was on crutches and my knee injury. High school was a lot about getting my knee fixed so I could return to competitive sports. We graduated on June 6, 1988, and started the best summer of our lives, supposed to be, before I went off to the University of Arkansas. I want to see where my uncle Jim went to school, where he played for the Razorbacks and two-time All-American Jim Williams Jr. He was one of my heroes growing up, looked up to him for his success in business. Going to U of A to get my degree in accounting after a senior year of accounting classes revealed a talent for it. The night of July 21st, 1988. After getting home from work, I was running the kitchen at Taco Bueno. I picked up the phone to call Jason S. Scott was on a cruise with his mom in the Caribbean, a graduation present. Jason answered the phone, it's like he was crying, and all he said was, "Scott is dead." I asked, "Which Scott?" This was the moment everything I thought wanted from life just became worthless. This changed me forever. This was the moment my high school sweetheart lost me and us. In September of 18, I told her, if you want to know why I self-destructed, if you want to know the truth, then we need to go to visit an old friend. She seemed very puzzled when I told her to turn into a cemetery. For many years, I came out every July. I had not been out there since my 2008 accident and wanted to take pictures to post on social media and keep for myself. I can't travel anymore, so I can't go out there. We walked up to his grave site. I pointed down at his headstone. This was the day it started. Pure self-destruction, while she had to watch and could not do anything to help me. She turned to me. "You never told me about Scott." While on his cruise, a day trip to the beach of the Bahamas, Scott went snorkeling. Then while sitting on the bus before going back to the ship, Scott let out a gasp, died of a heart attack, sitting next to his mother. Days later, Jason and I went to a funeral home to see Scott in the casket. I stared at him for quite a long time. One of my best friends, I enjoyed his company. So many conversations we had. Now he was lifeless, looking at peace. This was the trigger that changed me. Seeing him at age 18, life was over for him. The overriding feeling of something good in the world was now gone forever. Jason, Ness, and I were one of the front cars behind Scott's hearse, turning on the service road going to a full mile down to the cemetery. The funeral procession of cars was more than a mile long. We were both amazed at how many people Scott touched in his brief time. It gives me chills thinking about that. Watching the casket of my best friend being lowered into the ground really traumatized me. Return to his grave most every July, still wishing it wasn't real until I see his name and date on the gravesite. It's been 35 years since I buried him, and it still feels like yesterday. It's been 37 now. His family held a wake at their house where I met his mother for the first time. We only had friendships at school and running around. We talked about him, I told her about our friendship at school. His mom told me Scott had a faulty heart and wasn't supposed to live past 3 years old. Scott had so much to hate for life, being angry at God and the world. This is something he would not approve of me saying. He had none. He was just hard to explain. Scott's heart and soul were pure in nature, always smiling, transmitting a good vibe to us all. The world lost something good that day, something wonderful. I lost a best friend for life. He was then and now is an angel. I never cared about anything medical about him. I never asked, besides wanting to know if he were Scottish Rite kids. The night before my first knee operation, in a standby room with a few other kids, patients, really was an amazing experience. I was being terrified. These kids made me feel at home. I was having my first knee surgery. Looking at them, my knee seemed insignificant. I told them I don't need to be here. When they asked why I was here, I showed them my left knee and the kneecap popping out of place trick, and they all said, no worries, I belonged. The kids at Scottish Rite were all angels. I was something wrong, needing to be fixed, but they seemed happy. Making that connection with Scott made me feel less alone. Scott, my friend, you are missed and never forgotten. This story makes me cry. This story makes me cry a few tears every time I reread it. A book dedication seems kind of small for the impact Scott had on my life. It changed the direction of my life. Scott's life was only 19 years long, and having someone with such a bright inner light being now dark made me question my own life's direction. I have battled serious depression issues since I was about 12 years old, questioning how Scott could be happy, why I still felt so down. Having the best education, privilege of traveling to the world's top vacation destinations while hating life and being depressed with suicidal thoughts, Scott was just so happy, enjoying life every day. He always had a smile on his face. This just crossed wires in my head. After Scott was laid to rest is when the self-destruction period started. From the end of July 88 until the beginning of October 89 was a downward spiral of epic proportions. That goes on in the book. I want to start an angel revolution. Talk about the many angels that we have in our lives or had in our lives. The special people that touched our lives but felt a long-lasting imprint on our lives. This thought has haunted me since the day we buried Scott, seeing him lying there, his life being over at 18. Please don't get the idea I blame him or anything such. He's been the inspiration to seek a deeper meaning, to find true happiness. Money wasn't the answer. It wasn't the solution for me. While I was writing about Scott, I imagined the reader being touched. Story sparks thoughts of the reader knowing someone special like Scott, someone they think may be an angel. Wanting to share it, they send me an email to tell me. A better way is to encourage writing a short story and emailing that to me. I want to shine a bright light on all the angels in Angel Revolution. Send any stories to jason@journeyoftwoangels.com. Let's talk about the angels in our lives. They deserve to be talked about.